If you cry easily, science says you have something most people never develop, and it's not what you think. Let me explain. If you're someone who cries during arguments, or sad movies, or when you're overwhelmed and you don't even know why, I need you to hear this clearly. Crying easily is not weakness. It's not too sensitive. It's not dramatic. And it does not mean you can't handle life. In fact, psychologists say it can be a sign your emotional system is working properly. But I know what it feels like. You cry, and instantly your brain goes, "Why am I like this? Why can't I be tougher? Why can everyone else stay calm? But I can't?" And maybe people around you made it worse. They said things like, "Stop crying. Be strong. Don't be so emotional. Calm down. It's not that deep." So, you learn to feel embarrassed about something that is literally human. Here's a truth that changes everything. Humans are the only species that cry emotional tears. Not just watery eyes from dust, not tears from pain. Real emotional tears. That means nature built you with a system that releases emotion through tears. So if you cry easily, it's not proof you're broken. It might be proof your body is doing what it was designed to do. Now, let's break this down in very simple terms. There are a few big reasons why some people cry faster than others, and none of them mean you're weak. 1. You feel things deeply. Some people feel emotions like a light tap. Other people feel emotions like a full wave. If you cry easily, you might be the second type. Your brain reacts strongly to emotional changes. You notice tone changes. You notice small shifts in someone's face. You notice the energy in a room, even if nobody says anything. And that can be exhausting, because you're not just reacting to what's happening, you're reacting to what it means. Example, someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice is cold. Most people only hear the words, but you feel the mood behind it, so your brain starts racing. Are they mad? Did I do something? Is everything okay? That emotional processing can turn into tears quickly, not because you're fragile, but because you're tuned in. 2. You have high empathy. Empathy means you don't just understand feelings, you absorb them. That's why you cry when someone else cries. That's why you tear up during movies. That's why you feel heavy when a friend is struggling. You don't just watch pain, you experience it. And honestly, this is rare. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Imagine you're in a room. Someone casually says, "Yeah, I'm going through a lot." Most people respond politely, "Sorry to hear that," and then they move on. But you feel it in your chest. Your throat tightens. Your eyes start watering. And you hate that because you think, "I'm making this about me." But you're not. What's happening is your brain is connecting. Your nervous system is mirroring. It's like your brain is saying, "I understand you, I feel you." That's why people who cry easily often have deep relationships. Because you don't treat emotions like an inconvenience. You treat emotions like something real. 3. Your nervous system releases stress through tears. This part is huge, and nobody talks about it. Crying is not always emotional. Sometimes it's the body hitting a reset button. When you're overwhelmed, your stress hormones rise. Your heart rate changes, your breathing changes, and tears can be one of the fastest ways your body returns to balance. So, when you cry, it's not you losing control. Sometimes it's literally you getting control back. Think of it like this. Some people explode in anger. Some people shut down and go numb. Some people overthink for 10 hours. And some people cry. Crying is not the worst option. It's actually one of the healthiest releases. As long as you don't shame yourself for it. Why crying feels embarrassing. Here's the real reason crying feels so uncomfortable. Because society teaches you that emotions equals weakness. Especially if you grew up hearing, "Big boys don't cry," "Girls who cry are dramatic," "Stop being soft," "Be strong." So, now when your body does something natural, your brain attacks you for it. You're crying, and then you're crying about crying. That's the painful cycle. But there's a better way to look at it. Your tears are information. They're your body saying, "This matters. This hurts. This is too much. I need a release." Tears are like emotional smoke alarms. Not proof you're weak, proof you're awake. The difference between sensitive and weak. A lot of people confuse these two. Weakness is when you run away from feelings, hurt people, and refuse to grow. Sensitivity is when you feel deeply, care deeply, and still try to do better. Sensitive people are not weak. Sensitive people just experience the world in the higher resolution. You notice details others miss. You feel what others ignore. You understand what others rush past. That's why you can get hurt faster. But it's also why you can love harder. Sometimes crying makes you feel out of control. Sometimes it happens in public. Sometimes it happens during conflict. Sometimes you can't stop. So let's talk about how to handle it in a real, practical way. Here are 3 things you can do if you cry easily without hating yourself. 1. Stop calling it weak. The moment you label it as weak, your body panics more. Instead, say, okay, my body is releasing stress. Even if you don't fully believe it, repeat it, because your brain listens to your words. 2. Learn your triggers. Most people who cry easily have patterns. Maybe you cry when you feel misunderstood, you feel guilty, you feel trapped. Someone raises their voice, you get overwhelmed in crowds, you feel rejected. Once you know your trigger, you stop feeling random. You start feeling aware. 3. Give yourself a recovery ritual. After you cry, don't punish yourself. Do something that tells your body you're safe. Drink water, wash your face, breathe slowly. Step outside, hold something warm. Write one sentence like, I'm okay. Because the goal is not to stop emotions. The goal is to stop fear of emotions. A powerful truth. Crying people often heal better long term. This might surprise you. People who feel emotions fully often recover better over time. Why? Because suppressed emotions don't disappear. They just hide in the body. They show up as stress, numbness, anger, headaches, burnout, emotional distance. But when you cry, your body is processing the emotion. That's not weakness. That's movement. That's healing. When crying is not just emotional. Now I need to say this too, because it's real. Sometimes crying easily is physical. It can happen more when you're sleep-deprived, dehydrated, extremely stressed, hormonally sensitive, overstimulated, burnt out. So, if you've been exhausted for months and you cry easily, that doesn't mean you're too emotional. That might mean your body is begging for rest. And that is not something to be ashamed of. Maybe you're not too sensitive. Maybe you're just honest. Most people learn how to hide emotions. You didn't, or you can't, or you don't want to. And honestly, that can make you powerful because people trust real emotions more than fake calm. The best leaders, creators, helpers, and friends are often the ones who feel deeply, not the ones who feel nothing. And if someone ever made you feel less than for crying, remember, a person who mocks tears usually fears their own feelings. Your tears are not proof you're weak. They're proof your heart still works. So, if you cry easily, don't apologize for it. Just learn how to guide it, because sensitivity isn't the end of you. It's the beginning of emotional intelligence, and that's rare. If this made you see yourself differently, hit like so more people who need this, find it, and comment, because I want you to know you're not alone. And if you want more psychology-based videos like this, subscribe. Feeling deeply isn't a flaw, it's a superpower.